Hi there, welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered why the Christ that you read about in the Bible is so different from the Christ that you're told about by other people, or rather the Christ that you hear about preached all over the place? Well, I'd like us to have a conversation about that today. You see, I strongly believe that the Christ that we hear about is different from the Christ that we read about in the Bible because we have missed a fundamental aspect of a very foundational part of our faith. The Christian faith is founded on or based on this one very important verse in the Bible, John 3:16. I am sure you can recite it even if you are not a very regular church goer. It simply says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." But you see, in as much as we can recite that verse, there's a very important part of that that we are not exactly familiar with, or that we seem to have left out of the equation altogether. And that is what comes after that. Verse 17. Because I strongly feel and believe that for us to truly understand the impact of John 3:16, then we must also include John 3:17, because John 3:17 gives us a glimpse of exactly why we need John 3:16. And it simply says, "For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him." God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. So if we are to read both verses together, it would go something like this. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him." Doesn't that give you a better understanding of why Christ came, his central mission? Christ's mission, his central mission into this earth was not to condemn. His central mission was to save. Now, if you will allow me, I would like us to go deeper, even deeper than we normally do into this. You see, the Greek word that we use there for condemn, that is found in verse 17, that Christ, for God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world. That word in the original language, in the Greek Koine language, is krine, from the root word krino, which can also mean to condemn, to judge, to separate, or to choose by separating. And it's really important for us to understand that, because when we understand, when we truly realize that Christ did not come here to separate people, that his main mission was about salvation, it was not about condemnation, then we can truly begin to understand exactly the extent of his love. You see, Christ did not want any to perish. That's why it says he so loved the world, the whole entire world. No one is exempt from that. There are no exclusions in that love, right? He so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever believes in him, whosoever, anyone and everyone is included in that equation. And so if everyone and anyone is included in the love that God has for his children, for the world, then we can also understand that his primary mission was not about condemnation. His primary mission was not about judgment. His primary mission was not about separation, but rather about salvation. It was about unity. It was about love. Mahatma Gandhi is said to have remarked these words. He says, "I like your Christ. I do not like your Christians." He says, "Your Christians are so unlike your Christ." And isn't that true? I would like to urge us as Christians to be better representations of Christ. It is quite unfortunate that inasmuch as Christ did not come to judge the world, but to save the world, Christians have become one of the most judgmental groups of people that exist in this world. Yes, I said it. Christians have become one of the most judgmental groups of people that exist in this world today. And that is because we have not understood, we have not truly understood the primary mission for which Christ came to this world. Christ came to save. Christ came to make sure that no one would perish. Christ came to ensure that everyone would understand his great, unconditional, all-encompassing love. And that once you were exposed to that love, that you would want to be a part of it, and that you would not want to separate yourself from it. I would like for us to truly embrace these words that are the foundation of our faith. That God so loved the world, that he loved the world so much, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever, and I do mean whosoever, the Bible does mean whosoever. It doesn't matter whether who you are or what you are, or what even you identify yourself as, or who you identify yourself with. Christ died for you. His love includes you. And because of that, he makes it very clear that his mission has nothing to do with separating himself from you, except that you would separate yourself from him. His primary mission is not to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him. And so he puts himself as the bridge between you and salvation, between you and God, that we would be reconciled with this everlasting, everlasting, never changing love that is available. And so I pray that you would have a loving day, that you would have an extraordinary day, that you will be able to understand that, yes, if you are a Christian, your work is not to condemn, but to love as Christ has loved. And for those of you who still do not know, for those of you who still have not come to an understanding of this love, I invite you to avail yourself, to accept and believe that this love is available for even you too. That you will be able to experience this wonderful salvation that we are always talking about and are excited to talk about. So have yourself a lovely day, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Be blessed.